Good morning and welcome back. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. What we're going to be working on today is we're going to be continuing with the topic of genetics, but we're going to focus on what we're calling the rule breakers. So up until this point, we have talked about Mendel and what he found with his pea plants and kind of that pattern of inheritance. But we're going to talk this week and into next week about our rule breakers, which basically do not follow what Mendel practiced with the dominant and recessive type of relationship. Up until this point, we know that the dominant allele overpowered the recessive allele. But with our rule breakers, that's not always the case. That's the case that they do not follow what Mendel practiced with the dominant and recessive conditions. So the two topics that we'll be talking about or centered on will be the concept of incomplete dominance and codominance. So for today's lesson, if you see follow along on my screen, we are going to be doing the interactive pear deck on human inheritance, talking about Mendel and his findings, as well as talking about the exceptions to the rule of Mendel. So we go through, we talk about his peas and what we know about his peas, but in reality, that's not how the world works. It's not as simple as Mendel and his pea plants. There's a lot more variety and a lot more phenotypes that are usually expressed in any given trait. And it's across the animal kingdom and even the plant kingdom, and flowers, bees, dogs, etc. So again, we talked about, we call these the rule breakers. Okay, so that's the concept of incomplete dominance, which is what we'll be focusing on today. So what I'm going to ask you to do, this is a view-only copy of the notes, but you guys are actually going to be, if you were absent from class today, you're going to be clicking on the link below and doing the student pace pear deck so that I know that you actually went through the notes to get you caught up on it. And basically, incomplete dominance, if you look at this definition, is when neither allele is dominant over the other and a blending of the traits results. The two classic examples of this is going to be snapdragons, which is a type of flower, and hair texture. So there are the two examples. So I set up the problems for you. We're going to do a couple of Punnett square crosses with that and reveal the answers as well. And then we'll kind of check in on you by the end of the period today or by the time you're done the lesson if you understand incomplete dominance. And again, in essence, it's a blending of the traits. So you're not going to have just dominant or recessive. You actually have a third phenotype that can result, which is typically a blending. So it's very easy for you to remember incomplete dominance. So say if you have a red flower and a white flower, according to Mendel, it would just be red or white. But now with these rule breakers, there's a blending that results. So now you can have a red, a white flower, they can reproduce, and now they can produce a new phenotype, which is now pink. So that's in essence what we're going to be talking about in class today, if you happen to be absent.